This video is for my special friend Linda at the New Orleans Gardener. I wanted to share with you the beginnings of my spring garden. These are some tomatoes that I started in August, which for the Northern Hemisphere would be February, and it's now October, which is like April. And I've got 4 varieties of tomatoes. I've got a unknown yellow tomato that I got from a friend, and an heirloom brandywine, a San Marzano plum type tomato for making sauce, and cherry tomatoes. I also have some peppers, which I started at the same time as the tomatoes, but you can see how slow they are compared to the tomatoes. These are the peppers. And I've got 3 kinds. I've got banana peppers, cayenne, and green peppers. These ones right here are some collards, which aren't doing too well, but I think they might survive. To this side I've got some poppies, sweet william, basil, rosemary, and larkspur flowers from my garden. On my windowsill I've got hollyhocks, that's a primrose, catnip. That one right in there is bee balm. This is lavender, and that's St. John's wort. That is an Avellano, which is a Chilean hazelnut, which I grew from seed. And coming up in that tray, I think, is comfrey. Now, Jim rigged up this LED light for me. We don't have a lot of access to grow lights, so we improvised. We didn't know if it would work or not. It's just a regular LED bulb fixture for a house, and I think they're doing pretty well. I'm really pleased with it. So now I'm going to take you outside and show you what I've already put in my greenhouse when I've got my garden. Okay, Linda, here we are at my garden. I'm not going to show you the weedy parts, well, the super weedy parts. I'll just show you the kind of weedy parts. Here are some barrels that I put potatoes in. And these are just potatoes that I got at the grocery store, and they're called chilote potatoes because they are grown on the island of Chiloé, which is just south of here. They have some special potato varieties that are kind of a bluish purple and some other small reddish ones. And those are going really well. I'm really pleased. I'm going to put more dirt in there to cover them up, and they'll grow, and the soil level will come up as they grow to the top of the pot. And then when they flower, you can just dump them out and harvest them real easy. Easy potatoes. I like easy. This bed right here has my peas, which I planted a couple weeks ago, I guess. This is calendula, and there's some more calendula. They actually survived the winter. We do have frost here. We had a couple of hard frosts. Actually, this winter we had more frost than usual, but the calendula are pretty hardy and they survived. This is a lemon sorrel, which I use for salads. And beside it are some Egyptian onions. This was my cabbage row. I'm going to take it up and plant carrots and beets in the next week. In this bed I have echinacea in the front, and a comfrey, some chives, and in this midsection is some beautiful fuzzy mint. And at the end of the row is an asparagus patch I just started this winter, and they're alive. Some little sprouts came up, but I didn't touch them. Gotta let them grow. This bed was carrots and beets, but I've been harvesting them out all winter. It's kind of weedy. In the middle, at the end of this row, is a rhubarb plant, and I did plant some kale. I'm going to turn this bed into my kale and collard bed. This bed was strawberries last year. I got some strawberries from a neighbor, and I didn't like them. They were white strawberries, and I thought the flavor was kind of odd. So I just covered it over. And I'm going to put something else there this year. And at the end of the row is my beautiful artichoke. It's doing really well, even though Jim and I dug it apart, hacked it apart. It was really hard to do. It was very woody, but we wanted to split the plant up. And you can see here to the side is one of the splits that's doing well, and all along that back row I put the splits, and they all survived and they're growing. This is a great climate for artichokes. It's cool and wet, and they seem to really like it. This bed is some Swiss chard, the rainbow chard it's been there since last fall, doing well. And I also put some more peas in this bed. Here we are in the greenhouse. In the midsection here I've got some Swiss chard that's probably a year old now. It actually went to flower and I just cut the flowers back, which they're really small flowers, but they smelled wonderful and the whole greenhouse smelled really sweet for a while. And even though I cut them back, they're still producing really heavily. Here I have some kale, which I probably put in here in July or August. I've got some patches of lettuce and parsley and dill and weeds down at the end. The weeds I'm kind of using as a cover, just to keep the soil covered, and then I kill the weeds just by pulling them up and leave them there, and now they're like a mulch. And you can see here I've already put in some of my tomatoes. I put in about 6 tomatoes here in the lettuce and in between the parsley. It's kind of early because it's April and we can still get frosts up to November, but I figure I'm going to watch the weather real close, even though it's not very accurate, and if it's going to get anywhere below 40, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to cover up my tomatoes with, you know, a barrel or a bucket or something like that just for the night. So I've got a really early start this year, and I'm really pleased and very optimistic that I'm going to have a good garden year. Now I'm going to show you my raspberry patch. Okay, this is the other side of the greenhouse. Right up against the greenhouse I've got blueberries. This is their first year, so they're not very big. And then on the wires are the raspberries. These raspberries are given to me by a neighbor. I don't know what variety they are, but they produce in the spring and in the fall. And last fall we got really a great crop. I've been kind of pruning them a little bit, and you see they've got some new leaves. And right behind that I've got boysenberries trained to the wire. Those were also given to me by a friend. Gardeners are great here. They love to share the wealth.